So I went for a run this morning. As I talked about in a recent pod, how I found meaning and direction in life, one of the things I try and do is change my walking and running routes. So I was just darting around, exploring random streets, until I found myself jogging down this hidden little lane. It was completely empty, and save for a few birds chirping, the world was silent. And it really was a perfect little tranquil vignette of a sleepy suburban morning, if it was not for what was going on in my head. I was pissed off about something someone had said about me, something that seemed very unfair, from someone who clearly hadn't bothered to listen to any of my work and had come up with all sorts of assumptions about who I was. And I'd gone to bed very angry about it, and I had woken up very angry about it. So I told myself all that good, healthy, mindful stuff. Why do you care about one little misguided opinion from some anonymous, bitter keyboard warrior? Grow up, Jonah. But I found myself continuously returning to the angry thought. In fact, it was that very angry thought that woke me up at the crack of dawn. So I woke up angry, and then I got even angrier that I had been woken up by this thought. And again, this is all my own problem. But at the time, I decided that it was this guy's fault for waking me up as well. And so, in my fury, I resolved to reply to this guy, explaining all the reasons why his opinion of me was confused. Which is not a very mature thing to do. And that's why I have mindfulness. So that rather than just acting on impulse, I can catch myself being immature as soon as possible and make more noble decisions. So I took my mindfulness medicine and I did a meditation. And by the end of the meditation, I decided that not only was I not going to reply, but I was going to channel any leftover angry energy into something productive. And so I said to myself, here's the deal. You're going to run this one off. And by the end of the run, you need to have let it go. So out I go on my run in the anger mindfulness loop. If you've done any mindfulness, you have experience with this loop. This is how it works. The angry thought flies into my head. I notice it. I remind myself to focus on the morning sky, the crisp air, smile. The angry thought dissipates. 2 minutes later, the angry thought flies back into my head, and I notice it. And I remind myself to focus on my speed, the sound of my feet hitting the concrete, this beautiful little quiet lane I've just discovered. The angry thought dissipates. 2 minutes later, the angry thought comes back, flies into my head. But the loop is getting shorter, and the angry thought's lasting for less time. The allocation of energy is shifting away from the angry thought and more towards enjoying the run. It still comes back, but it comes back with less power each time. But it does still come back, and lost in that angry thought for the 30th time in a 24-hour space. Suddenly, this whispering lane explodes into a scream, and bang. Right in front of me, a Range Rover pulling out of a driveway rams into a cyclist who goes flying. The cyclist hits the ground and goes limp. The driver and her young son stare stunned at the cyclist. And because I've been lost in thought, not currently residing in the physical world, it takes me a moment. And then all of a sudden I'm propelled back into reality by what has just happened. I rush over to the cyclist. I call an ambulance. The driver gets out of the car in a complete panic. She's in total shock, both apologizing and attributing blame at the same time. The son is mute. The cyclist moves and then starts to crawl off the road, and in her daze she's mumbling something about how her daughter will be late for band practice. We get her to lie down. The driver is not free from panic. At the same time, she's genuinely concerned for the well-being of the cyclist, and also clearly trying to figure out what will happen to her if the police decide this was her fault. And I saw it. It was her fault. She pulled out too fast without looking. The ambos arrive. The driver starts telling her story to them and looking at me for approval. The cyclist starts crying. They do their tests on the cyclist. She's beat up and she's upset. She needs to go to hospital for further assessment just to be safe. But she doesn't have a head injury. She's going to be okay. When this is explained to us, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. And now, knowing that the cyclist is okay, I'm confronted by how incredible it is that I could be worked up about something so petty. This time, my angry thought dissipates and it doesn't come back. Yet another reminder that we are so lost in our own little worlds about the most minuscule problems. And yet we're playing the game of life and death every day. This cyclist's entire day, week, month, hopefully not longer than that, is turned upside down in a single moment. And she will consider herself lucky. If the car is going a touch faster, if she hits her head at a slightly different angle, if I'm running a little faster, it's me who gets hit. We are risking everything on being on the right side of ifs. Just walking outside means we are taking the ultimate gamble. We are playing at the highest stakes. You can die on a quiet, sleepy lane at the crack of dawn, doing everything responsibly, just because someone pulls out of their driveway without looking. And our only option is to suppress this fact, or we'll never leave home. But 120 people die in fatal road accidents every day, and that's just in the US. Every day in the US, 120 normal people, not soldiers, not people working on oil rigs or in mines, not people who have voluntarily entered into high-risk activities. Regular people like you and me who do everything safely and cautiously and responsibly, and yet still don't make it home. 120 families are destroyed each day in the US because that is the cost. As a society, we have decided to pay to have cars. That's the deal. And we're all happy with that deal because if we weren't, we'd be rallying in the street protesting cars. And so when I think about the fact that good people die every day for no reason at all, how dare I waste my life being angry about shit that does not matter at all? People all over the world are dying unnecessarily and horribly from disease and war and poverty on a far greater scale than what Western country automobile fatalities can offer. And that's a whole nother story. But when you are confronted with a life and death situation in real time right in front of your eyes, you have a little brain implosion. Because you are forced to say to yourself, but for sheer luck, that could have been me. And so we have a responsibility to ourselves when we're upset to check in and truly ask ourselves, is this situation worth being miserable about, given I could die at any minute through no fault of my own? No matter who you are, it could be lights out in a single second. But this isn't a reason to be scared. This is a reason to rejoice in every single moment. This is a reason to hold the people you love tighter and to abandon thoughts about things that do not matter. If and when my last day comes, I will consider my life a success if I can honestly say I spent the majority of it smiling. I'm Jonah Primo. This is the Overexamined Life. See you next time.